After being reborn, I decided to stop obsessing over my childhood friend, Joel. At his birthday party, when a sign was put up saying no dogs or Zoe allowed, I packed my bags and went to Hawaii, far away from him. When he said the smell of me in his house disgusted him, I obediently moved out. When he said he didn't want to share the air of the same city with me after graduation, I left without looking back. When he said my existence might cause misunderstandings for his first love, I simply nodded and soon publicly announced my new relationship. I kept making choices that were the complete opposite of my past life. Because in that previous life, I got what I wanted. I married Joel. But his first love jumped off a cliff. He said I was the murderer. And he tortured me, abused me, until he drove me to my death in the ocean. This time, I only wanted to live well. Later, when I was holding hands with my new boyfriend, Joel blocked my path. His eyes bloodshot. Zoe, if you come with me now, I'll forgive you for playing this joke on me. Chapter 1. No entry for Zoe and dogs. Looking at the familiar sign at the entrance, I burst into tears of joy. Zoe, my name, was now placed alongside dogs as a form of humiliation. But no one knew how happy I was at this moment. Because I had been reborn. I had returned to the day of my fiancé Joel's birthday. To everyone, I wasn't worthy of Joel. Whether it was my family background or appearance, we were worlds apart. He was the heir to a wealthy family, and I was an orphan with no parents. An innocent joke from our childhood had tied us together for over 20 years. Everyone felt sorry for Joel. So did he. That's why he put up this sign at the entrance, blocking me, dressed up for the occasion, from entering. Zoe, it's not that we don't want to let you in. This is Joel's decision, said one of Joel's closest friends, delivering the message with a cold expression. Be sensible and don't make this difficult for us. It'll only embarrass you. Standing by the entrance were 2 security guards armed with electric batons. Such a grand display of security, all to deal with me. Everyone knew how much Joel despised me. In my previous life, I hadn't made it into the banquet either. Like a stray dog, I waited outside from day to night. Eventually, I passed out from the cold and a high fever. When Joel's parents found out, they scolded him and accelerated the marriage arrangements. On our wedding day, Joel's first love, Roma, jumped off a cliff. In Joel's eyes, and in the eyes of his inner circle, I was the murderer. Joel sought revenge for Roma. He subjected me to years of emotional abuse, neglect, and torment. I tried countless times to file for divorce, but each attempt was rejected. Joel would glare at me and say he'd rather drag things out until I died. I endured 20 years of being ignored, treated as invisible, and reduced to a meaningless existence. In the end, driven mad, I jumped into the sea and drowned. The most laughable part was my final moment in this world. I saw Roma making a grand return, reuniting with Joel. She hadn't died. She was alive and thriving, an internationally renowned designer. Her love story with Joel, their reunion, their passion, was celebrated and blessed by the world. From beginning to end, I was a fool, but this time, things would be different. I was going to live for myself, and I was going to stay far, far away from Joel. Chapter 2. I turned and left without hesitation, ignoring the shocked stares that followed me. Once I returned to Joel's house, I took off the heavy, suffocating gown. Everyone knew I was Joel's simp, his loyal puppy. Whenever it came to Joel, I would think 10 steps ahead and plan everything perfectly for him. Joel had mentioned more than once how exhausted he was from work and how he wanted to relax. So, I carefully coordinated his work schedule and planned a trip to Hawaii, because he had said he missed the beaches and ocean there. But in my previous life, Joel had never agreed to the Hawaii trip. Instead, he chose to go hiking and camping with Roma. I was ordered to tag along. In the pouring rain, Joel sent me to fetch Roma's bracelet. I ended up falling off a cliff and breaking my leg, spending 2 months bedridden in the hospital. That feeling of hitting rock bottom, of being abandoned by life, I never wanted to experience it again. Staying far away from Joel was my first step. I quickly packed my suitcase, grabbed my documents, and headed downstairs. As luck would have it, Joel stormed in, fully dressed in his formal suit. The moment he saw me, he let out a cold laugh, snatched my suitcase, and tossed it aside. I frowned and demanded, "What do you think you're doing? I should be asking you that." He snapped, "What is this, Zoe? How old are you to still be pulling the running away from home act? Next time, what's your plan? Leaving a suicide note again?" He was out of breath, glaring at me with disgust. "Zoe, are you serious? Is this your childish way of threatening me again with suicide?" I brushed off my dirty suitcase and calmly responded, enunciating every word. "Who told you I was going to kill myself? People like Joel and Roma, one with a heart of a wolf, the other with the loyalty of a dog, could live so well. Why would I even think of ending my life when I had a second chance?" Joel scoffed, but said nothing, his gaze full of disdain. Roma, who had followed closely behind him, finally spoke. "Zoe, if you really wanted to attend the birthday party, you could have just asked Joel. You two grew up together. Like siblings, he wouldn't have refused to let you in. But using suicide as a tactic? It might have worked once, but doing it twice is like crying wolf." Her words were deliberately loaded with meaning. Joel's gaze darkened, his eyes filled with increasing disgust. Memories from high school suddenly flooded my mind. Back then, Joel and Roma had started dating, and everything changed. I had been angry, hurt, and left a note saying I was going to jump into the river. It had scared his parents so badly that they ordered Joel and Roma to break up. From that moment on, Joel had hated me, ignored me, and refused to talk to me. Roma's little group of friends had isolated and bullied me, and Joel had turned a blind eye. I met Joel's eyes and calmly explained, "You're overthinking it. I have no intention of killing myself. I'm packing because I'm flying to Hawaii." Joel laughed mockingly, as if amused by my poor excuse to save face. Roma tugged on Joel's sleeve gently. "Joel, why not let Zoe join us? She looks so pitiful." Joel frowned, about to relent. I refused once more. "No need. I'm going to Hawaii." Joel's expression shifted slightly, and he sneered. "Did you hear that? She's going to Hawaii." "Zoe, stop making a scene." Roma sighed softly and stepped forward, taking my hand. Her sharp, manicured nails dug deeply into my skin, hidden from view. The pain was sharp, and I instinctively shoved her away. Roma fell to the floor, clutching her hand delicately as if she were a fragile flower. Her eyes filled with disbelief, and her lips trembled. "Zoe, you." Chapter 3. "Zoe, are you looking for death?" Joel's reaction was intense. He shoved me with even more force, and the back of my head slammed against the stairs. The pain was so severe that my vision blurred. I could hear Joel's voice berating me loudly. "Zoe, are you addicted to bullying people? Being around an ungrateful leech like you ruins the air in this house. You make me sick." I gritted my teeth against the pain and forced myself to interrupt him before his words got any uglier. "I'll move out. Don't worry. You'd better keep your word." Joel's rage lingered in his throat as he glared at me. After a tense pause, he picked up Roma in his arms and left without another word. I touched the sticky blood on the back of my head and, strangely, a memory from the past surfaced. When I was 15, my relationship with Joel wasn't as strained as it was now. I already knew about the arranged marriage between us and believed we were destined to become family. That's why I always clung to him. He was rebellious, sneaking off to shady internet cafes to play video games, and I would follow him. One time, he got into a fight over a game, and I tried to intervene. In the chaos, I ended up with a cut on my finger. At that moment, Joel had acted like a feral beast, beating up the much bigger guy until he begged for mercy. Back then, he'd panic over the smallest injury to me, but now, he would hurt me without hesitation or reason, throwing accusations and insults like daggers. It didn't matter anymore. Once his parents returned, the marriage arrangement between us would be annulled. I turned to a nearby maid and forced a weak smile. "Can you take me to the hospital? I'll pay you." The young maid hesitated, but before she could step forward, an older maid yanked her back. Their lowered voices were meant to be discreet, but I heard them clearly. "Are you crazy? Don't you know the young master hates Miss Zoe the most? If he sees you helping her, you'll lose your job." The young maid was frightened. After casting me a final glance, she ran off. I shook my head with a bitter laugh, crawled to the corner, and picked up my shattered phone. Joel's parents were often away, only coming home for 3 or 4 days each month. Joel was the sole authority in this house, and he had made it clear many times. I wasn't part of the family, and I had to take care of my own business. Because of this, no one dared to interact with me. Whenever I came home, leftover food would be thrown into the trash, and the dining table would be left empty. I had long since grown used to it. I dragged myself to the hospital, where the doctor diagnosed me with a concussion and advised me to stay for observation for 2 days. After being discharged, I returned home and packed my belongings. The maids watched me coldly, indifferent to my struggle. That afternoon, I moved everything into a hastily rented apartment. It was a temporary place. Once I received my diploma and job offer, and the marriage arrangement was officially annulled, I could leave this place for good. 3 days after leaving Joel's house, I received a call from him. His voice was slurred, and I could tell he was drunk. "Where are you?" "A 12 private room. Come over." I was busy writing my resume and the interruption made me a little irritated. "Joel, what do you want?" There was silence on the other end, and even the background noise seemed to die down. I said hello again, and when there was still no answer, I prepared to hang up. Suddenly, Joel spoke. "Zoe, where did you go?" I continued typing and placed the phone on speaker. I answered absent-mindedly. "Didn't you say living under the same roof with me made you sick? So I moved out. Don't worry, I won't be coming back." I could hear his breathing grow heavier before he let out a cold laugh. "Zoe, since when were you this obedient? Wasn't it you who used to cling to me like your life depended on it? If you're so obedient now, why don't you leave the city entirely and get out of my sight?" "Zoe, I don't know what game you're playing, but if you keep targeting Roma, you'll regret it." I struggled to move the mouse on my computer screen, the words from the phone fading into background noise. After a moment, I realized the weight of Joel's words. His mocking voice returned, as sharp as ever. "What? No response? Aren't you tired of playing these little tricks every day? Apologize to Roma, and maybe I'll let you come back." I spoke softly. "Fine, I agree. Joel, I'll leave." Before he could respond, I hung up the phone. Chapter 4. I received my diploma. Several of the resumes I had sent out were yielding responses. The most promising offer came from a major company in the neighboring city. I quickly scheduled an interview. Having a job was something I had longed for in my past life. I was both nervous and excited, but as I boarded the train, I got a call from the company. I was hired. Sitting on the high-speed train, I eagerly searched for suitable apartments. The thought of finally putting distance between myself and Joel filled me with exhilaration. Just as I stepped off the train, my phone rang. It was Joel. The moment I answered, his curt and unkind voice greeted me. "Zoe, where are you?" My good mood vanished instantly, as if a bucket of cold water had been poured over me. "What do you want?" Joel's voice grew colder. "My parents are back. They want you to come home for dinner." I returned to Joel's house at dusk. 4 people sat at the dining table, his parents, Joel, and Roma. The tension was thick, and no one looked particularly happy. Whatever had happened while I was away must not have gone well. I kept my expression neutral as I walked in. Joel glanced at me briefly before tossing down his chopsticks and heading upstairs. "I'm done eating. I'm sick of this." Roma followed him up the stairs. I calmly took my seat next to Joel's parents. They awkwardly tried to make excuses for Joel's behavior, but I wasn't listening. I looked closely at the 2 people who, in my previous life, had been like my own parents. When they found out Joel had imprisoned me, they tried to rescue me, but by then, Joel was in complete control of the family, and there was little they could do. I didn't blame them, I only blamed myself for being so foolish. Softly, I said, "Uncle, Auntie, I've thought about this a lot over the past few days. Joel and I aren't compatible. He doesn't like me, and I don't like him either. Instead of being tied together in misery, we should give each other freedom. Let's annul the engagement." Joel's mother's face stiffened, and tears welled in her eyes. "Does it really have to come to this?" I nodded firmly, finally resolving this matter. The weight on my chest lifted. Before leaving, I went to my room to collect a few items I had left behind. On my way out, Roma blocked my path. Zoe, can you give Joel back to me? I'm pregnant with his child. The baby can't grow up without a father. Her eyes were red, and she looked pitiful as tears streamed down her cheeks. I frowned and instinctively took a step back. Then Roma's expression shifted, her gaze turned strange and unsettling. Suddenly, she grabbed my hand and forcefully shoved herself backward. Zoe, don't push me. The baby! My baby! It hurts! She tumbled down the stairs, blood staining the floor between her legs. Joel ran out of his study just in time to see the scene unfold. His face twisted in fury. Without thinking, he slapped me hard across the face. Zoe, you're so cruel. People always said you were a bully, and I thought they were exaggerating. But now I see it with my own eyes. What do you have to say for yourself? If it weren't for you, Roma and I would never have been separated. Why do you always have to ruin things for us? Joel's parents came out of their room, and Roma clutched her stomach, wailing even louder. Joel turned to his parents and growled through clenched teeth. Look at the wife you picked for me. My face stung, my vision blurred, and my ears rang from the pain. But when I saw Joel's face, twisted with grief and betrayal as if the world had turned against him, I didn't hesitate. I slapped him twice. Don't worry, I said coldly. Starting today, I'm no longer your wife. Chapter 5. Joel, I've had enough of you. Joel stood there, wide-eyed, utterly stunned. I rubbed my sore hand and gave a polite nod to the two elders standing by the door, their expressions unreadable. Uncle, Auntie, I have to go now. Ignoring their reactions, I walked straight out. Once outside, my legs gave out, and I collapsed by the roadside. The slap Joel had given me was full of force. My cheek throbbed with a stinging pain. In hindsight, I should have taken the opportunity to slap him 2 more times. Joel was always like this. Whenever something happened, he never sided with me, he only ever pointed fingers and criticized. Roma loved playing the victim, loved scheming. I had suffered countless times during high school because of her tricks. Once, she was locked in the bathroom and called for help. I rescued her. The next moment, she threw herself into Joel's arms and subtly implied that I had locked her in there. I couldn't even defend myself because Joel wouldn't believe me. Eventually, I stopped trying to explain, but that only led to more and more accusations piling on me. Excuse me, do you need me to take you to the hospital? I squinted and looked up. A man in all black, black hat, black mask, black clothes, stood beside me. With that outfit, he was either a celebrity trying to avoid attention or a creep. I was about to shake my head when dizziness hit me, and I collapsed. When I woke up again, I was staring at a familiar white hospital ceiling and smelling that unpleasant scent of disinfectant. Next to the bed, a man with golden curls rested his head on the edge. I stared at those golden, fluffy curls, and without thinking, reached out to touch them. The softness was perfect. The man woke up the moment I touched his hair. His eyes met mine, and he immediately blushed before scrambling to adjust his mask. But one glance was all it took. I recognized his famous face. He was the center member of a popular boy band. I was about to speak when my phone suddenly rang. Of course, it was Joel, my curse in life. Suppressing my disgust, I answered. Joel's voice was raspy, filled with exhaustion and sorrow. Zoe, Roma had a miscarriage. My baby is gone. This was my first child. How could you be so heartless? While he grieved on the other end, I remained cold and indifferent. Joel, you could always ask your parents to break off our engagement. It's not difficult. Our marriage is just a verbal agreement, one word from you. And it's done. Why haven't you done it yet? Is it because you want to keep eating from the pot while eyeing the bowl, blaming the pot for not jumping into your bowl on its own? Or is it because I've been such a perfect simp all these years that you can't bear to let me go? And Joel, you're really dumb. I hung up, breathing heavily. The young man beside me softly advised me not to get worked up. The doctor said you have injuries on your face. If you've experienced domestic violence, I can introduce you to a lawyer. I turned to look at him, dressed entirely in black, with his mask on. He still managed to have those soft, puppy-like eyes that made him seem easily bullied. I smirked slightly and lowered my gaze. There is something you can help me with. Chapter 6. Didn't Joel say that my existence was hindering his perfect romance with Roma? Fine. That very day, I posted a picture of two hands clasped tightly together. A man's long, pale, and well-defined hand intertwined with mine, forming the shape of a heart. The caption was simple and direct. Official announcement. As soon as I posted it on my social media, the comment section exploded. What's going on? That doesn't look like Joel's hand. Zoe, what are you doing? You better delete that now. Joel's group of Playboy friends immediately mobilized, leaving comment after comment. I watched with satisfaction and then calmly set my phone aside. I recognize you. You're that famous boy band member, Sam, right? The man scratched his head awkwardly. Our group disbanded, and I'm not the center anymore. After just a short time with him, I'd already figured out his general personality. Wrapped up so tightly, he could be a celebrity, a recluse, or even a weirdo. I smiled. Thank you for helping me twice. If you don't mind, I'd like to treat you to dinner. He hesitated, looking unsure. I added, if you're busy now, we can meet another day. We agreed to have dinner in 2 days, my last day in Jiangxing before my move to Haicheng. Over the past few days, I'd already shipped most of my belongings to Haicheng. The only things left were 2 small suitcases, which I planned to take with me. Ever since my official announcement post, Joel had been calling me nonstop like a madman. I blocked him, and when he called from different numbers, I considered changing my phone number altogether. One time, I accidentally answered, and Joel's voice came through the phone, filled with accusations. Zoe, what the hell is this? Are you cheating on me? Zoe, how did I not realize you were such a schemer before? I took a deep breath and suppressed my irritation. Ever since waking up and no longer feeling anything for Joel, I'd realized he had 0 redeeming qualities and was, in fact, quite stupid. Joel, I rarely say this, but you genuinely disgust me. So, it's okay for you to sleep around with Roma and even get her pregnant. But the moment I post a picture, your friends come after me like the morality police. And you scream at me? What am I to you? Your pet? Or do you think your family bought me? Joel, why don't you ask your parents? Our engagement was dissolved long ago. I'm single, and I have nothing to do with you. Whatever you and Roma have going on, love or hate, it's none of my business. Joel's tone was incredulous. What did you say? Our engagement is over? No, I don't agree. His voice was so intense and determined that I was momentarily taken aback on my end of the phone. Then, I quickly snapped out of it and shot back. Whether you agree or not doesn't matter. We never held an engagement party. You've never publicly acknowledged me as your fiancé, and everyone knows you and Roma are the real couple. To be honest, Joel, your opinion is completely irrelevant. Chapter 7. After that day, Joel's parents kept calling me. The 2 elders asked me if I wanted to come back. I flatly refused. I had finally escaped from that place. Why would I ever go back? On the day of my dinner with Sam, he showed up fully disguised. As usual, I understood. His face was too recognizable. I had booked a private room just to avoid any unwanted attention. Unfortunately, fate had other plans. I ran into Joel again. He stormed over, grabbed my hand, and blurted out, Zoe, you really betrayed me? I thought you were joking, but here you are having dinner with this guy. Who is he? Joel, do you think you're playing some over-the-top CEO role from a drama? I couldn't help but roll my eyes and pinch the soft flesh of his arm as hard as I could. When he finally let go, I quickly moved to shield Sam and took a step back. Joel had a temper problem, the kind that flared up unpredictably. Once, he smashed my suitcase for no reason, leaving it completely broken. Joel's eyes looked wounded. Zoe, you're protecting him. I was speechless. Why would I protect you? A scumbag? Can you get lost already? You're always starting fights, aren't you tired of it? We've already dissolved the engagement. We have nothing to do with each other. Joel gritted his teeth and spat out. Zoe, I won't let you leave. You killed my baby, so you owe me another one. That explosive statement made me pause for a second, thinking I had misheard him. Joel, if your brain isn't working right, go see a doctor. Does your big house only have surveillance cameras for decoration? Roma fell down the stairs on her own. I'm not taking the blame for that. I flashed Joel a sarcastic smile. By the way, considering how long we've known each other, let me give you some friendly advice. Maybe you should investigate the person lying next to you in bed. In my past life, Roma had faked her death and lived abroad for 30 years. She married an 84-year-old billionaire and, after he died, hooked up with his son. The reason she eventually gave up her cushy life abroad and came back home was simple. She had seduced too many men, and their wives had found out. She couldn't stay there anymore. I didn't believe for a second that someone as opportunistic as Roma would risk using Joel's baby just to frame me. There had to be another reason. Joel looked utterly stunned. I imitated his usual mocking laugh and scoffed at him. Just when I thought I could finally leave, Joel stepped in front of me, his eyes bloodshot and brimming with tears. Zoe, if you come with me now, I'll forgive you for this little joke. I looked at him with disgust. Joel, are you okay? Maybe you should get your head checked. I brushed past him and pulled Sam along with me. This place has bad vibes. The moment I arrived, I saw someone I despise. Let's go somewhere else. Sam obediently nodded. Chapter 8. A familiar contact sent me a link, hinting that I should take a look. When I clicked on it, I discovered Roma was live streaming from the hospital. She was crying hysterically, accusing me of causing her miscarriage. Playing the weak victim was her specialty, with the hospital setting as her backdrop and the diagnosis as proof. She easily convinced viewers to believe her. Roma guided the audience, encouraging them to harass me online. They bombarded my social media, sent me friend requests, and called my phone relentlessly. Every time I opened my phone, it was filled with insults and hateful comments. Even former classmates, whether they knew me or not, seized the opportunity to gain attention. I was furious but amused. The first thing I did was report it to the police. Then I called Joel. I demanded he hand over the surveillance footage. But no matter how well I thought I had prepared for this, I underestimated Joel's shamelessness. Zoe, if you want the footage to clear your name, it's at the house. You just need to come back to me, and I'll give it to you. I've seen Roma's true colors. I won't get involved with her again. From now on, Zoe, I belong to you. I was so disgusted I nearly threw up. Once I had recorded everything I needed, I hung up the phone. This time, I started my own live stream and publicly countered Roma's accusations. I also filed lawsuits against those who had taken the opportunity to defame me. Joel's words were proof enough. Roma wasn't a victim. In fact, she wasn't a victim at all. Some viewers began to analyze the situation rationally, while others, eager for drama, demanded Joel release the surveillance footage. Under mounting public pressure, Joel's parents forced him to hand it over. The truth about Roma's miscarriage came to light. Apparently, she had even signed a contract in preparation for launching her career, but now she was facing a complete financial meltdown. Due to the false accusations, I applied for a delayed start date at my new job. Thankfully, the company was understanding and even suggested I use their legal department for my lawsuits. After settling into my new company, I changed my phone number and deleted all of Joel's friends from my contacts. About 6 months later, I traveled to Jiang City on a business trip with my boss. I wanted to visit Joel's parents, but my schedule was too tight, so I had to let it go. However, fate had other plans. I ran into one of Joel's friends. I didn't have a strong impression of him, but he recognized me immediately and greeted me warmly. Hey, have you spoken to Joel recently? Seeing that he was practically bursting to spill the tea, I shook my head. He eagerly began to share. After that whole mess, Roma ran back to Joel, and he paid off her debts, millions. But she wasn't satisfied. Joel had her investigated again. And, surprise! Turns out she wasn't as in love with him as we thought. We used to believe she was head over heels for him and only held back because of you. But that's not the important part. Roma wasn't exactly faithful. She's incredible. She hooked up with at least 5 of Joel's close friends. 5 guys. 5 green hats. And guess what? The baby she lost wasn't even Joel's. This scandal is famous in Jiang City. Everyone knows Roma went crazy trying to marry into a wealthy family. Joel couldn't swallow his pride. So he sued her for the money. Now Roma owes millions. She's been trying to find a rich old man to bail her out. But Joel's not doing well either. He got into fights with his old friends, and they all ended up hurting each other. His family's not doing great now. I hadn't expected things to be this complicated behind the scenes, but it was exactly what Joel deserved. On the day I left Jiang City, Joel waited outside my hotel, insisting on seeing me, but thanks to the hotel staff, my boss and I took the VIP route and caught our flight without any issues. Back home, I was greeted by the mouth-watering aroma of food. Hearing the door, a man came out of the kitchen wearing a cute floral apron. "You're back. I've already prepared your bath. Go take a soak, and dinner will be ready when you come out." This was what happiness felt like. I spread my arms wide and hugged Sam tightly. "Why are you home so early today? No gigs?" Sam explained in a soft voice. "My manager said I'm transitioning into acting. They've lined up a movie script for me, so I need to spend some time working out and staying out of the public eye." My eyes lit up, and I playfully bit his shoulder. "So you'll be free for a while?" I wrapped my arms around his neck and commanded him playfully, "Carry me inside." Hurry! Chapter 9. Sam and I didn't plan to go public this quickly. Initially, he had thoughts of leaving the entertainment industry, but his company persuaded him otherwise, and he ended up signing a 3-year contract. His transition to acting was a success, and now he only took on film roles. His fame kept growing, to the point where even going out on dates meant sneaking around and only meeting at night. Sam had had enough. He designed a ring himself and rushed to propose to me. I said yes. "Zoe." I instinctively turned around. When I saw the source of the voice, my face darkened with annoyance. Joel emerged from the shadows, step by step. His gaze locked on me, eyes turning redder by the second. I frowned. "Joel? Who gave you my address?" Joel spoke softly. "I had someone find it." "Zoe, don't be scared. I just want to talk." I felt Sam's grip on my hand tighten. I patted his hand gently, signaling him to step aside for now. He hesitantly walked away, looking back with every step. I couldn't help but laugh at how adorable he was. Joel sniffled, his voice carrying a hint of a sob. "Zoe, are you okay?" My expression turned cold, and I answered honestly, "If you hadn't shown up tonight, it would have been a great evening." Joel stared at me with that strange look again, as if searching for something beyond the surface. It sent shivers down my spine. "What do you want, Joel?" He shook his head. "My parents miss you. They've been talking about you nonstop. I heard from a friend that they saw you, so I had someone check. There's no other reason. I just wanted to see you, to see if you're doing okay." I didn't let my guard down. There were far too many stories in the news about ex-boyfriends hurting their exes. "Well, now you've seen me. I'm doing just fine. Tell your parents to take care of themselves, and I'll visit them sometime." With that, I turned around and walked off. I spotted Sam waiting under a tree, looking bored. I picked up my pace and ran toward him. "Kept you waiting, didn't I? Let's go." Extra chapter, Joel. I was reborn, back to when I was 26 years old. I was ecstatic, bursting out the door, but then I realized something had changed. The mansion was gone, so was any trace of Zoe. The house was empty, lifeless, with no one living there. I ran around like a madman, searching everywhere, but no matter where I looked, I couldn't find her. "Mom, Dad, where's Zoe? Where did she go?" My parents' hair had grayed more than I remembered, and they seemed even older than they had in my previous life. My mother cast me a faint glance. "Why are you looking for her? Didn't you drive her away? Stop thinking about Zoe. You're the one who wronged her, and she's never going to forgive you." All the joy and hope that had filled me vanished in an instant. It felt as if someone had taken a shovel and scraped out my heart, leaving only a hollow, cold emptiness behind. Under my relentless questioning, my parents told me everything. In this life, I had made all the same mistakes. From the day of my birthday, Zoe had started acting differently. I guessed she might have been reborn too. At that moment, a surge of hope filled me again. If Zoe had been reborn, maybe she could understand me. I began searching for her everywhere, but the wounds I had inflicted on her ran too deep. There was no sign of her. Lady Luck didn't favor me. Half a year later, I ran into an old friend by chance. I was no longer the proud young master I had once been. My family's fortune had dwindled, and things were no longer as they had been. I greeted my old friend, who told me he had seen Zoe. Apparently, she was in the neighboring city. I cleaned myself up, dressed properly, and made my way to Zoe's home. But then I saw her, holding another man's hand, walking closely together. At that moment, I knew I had lost her for good. Zoe had already moved on, but I wasn't willing to accept it. If this was how it was supposed to end, then why had fate given me a second chance? I called out her name. She turned and walked toward me, her face filled with displeasure. I asked her if she was doing well. She said she was. That's good, I thought. At least she's still alive.